All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold virtual meeting with US President Joe Biden today. Bilateral ties and Indo-Pacific region high on agenda. India and US to hold 2+2 dialogue in Washington today. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy to reconstitute his cabinet this morning. Registration for this year's Amarnath Yatra begins today. Renowned Assamese poet Neelmani Phukan to be conferred Gyanpith Award in Guwahati today. Pakistan Parliament to elect new Prime Minister today. PML President Shehbaz Sharif and Shah Mahmood Qureshi of PTI filed their nomination papers. French leader Emmanuel Macron to face Marine Le Pen in runoff for presidential election on 24th of this month. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Lucknow Super Giants by 3 runs, while Delhi Capitals defeat Kolkata Knight Riders by 44 runs. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. Coming to our 69th question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz in English. Virangana Mahabiri Devi formed a group of 22 women, armed them with iron weapons and launched an attack on the British in 1857. Which Indian state does this valiant freedom fighter hail from? Repeat. Virangana Mahabiri Devi formed a group of 22 women, armed them with iron weapons and launched an attack on the British in 1857. Which Indian state does this valiant freedom fighter hail from? Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 882-654-6262. I repeat, 882-654-6262 or through email on amritmahotsav@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a virtual meeting with US President Joe Biden today. External Affairs Ministry said the two leaders will review the ongoing bilateral cooperation and exchange views on recent developments in South Asia, the Indo-Pacific region and global issues of mutual interest. The virtual meeting will enable both sides to continue their regular and high-level engagement aimed at further strengthening the bilateral comprehensive global strategic partnership. The leaders' virtual interaction will precede the 4th India-US 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue. The 4th India-US 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue will get underway in Washington today. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will lead the Indian delegation. The US delegation will be led by Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. The dialogue would enable both sides to undertake a comprehensive review of cross-cutting issues in the India-US bilateral agenda related to foreign policy, defense and security, with the objective of providing strategic guidance and vision for further consolidating the relationship. The 2+2 dialogue mechanism will also provide an opportunity to exchange views about important regional and global developments. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will also meet his U.S. counterpart Secretary Blinken separately. He is scheduled to meet senior members of the U.S. administration to further advance the India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. We have a report.
This year's 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue will celebrate 75 years of diplomatic relations and reaffirm the importance of India-US comprehensive and global strategic partnership in ensuring international peace and security. It will reaffirm the shared commitment to a free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. The inaugural India-US Ministerial 2+2 Dialogue was held in September 2018 in New Delhi. The then US Secretary of State Michael Pompeo and Secretary of Defense James Mattis visited India for the dialogue with the then External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. 3 rounds of the dialogue have been held so far. India and US enjoy a comprehensive global strategic partnership covering almost all areas driven by shared democratic values, convergence of interests, and vibrant people-to-people contact. With Anand Kumar, Suparna Saiya, AIR News, Delhi.
Swiss Member of Parliament Nicholas Samuel Guger called on Union Minister of Science and Technology Dr. Jitendra Singh in New Delhi yesterday. During the meeting, the two leaders discussed possibilities for extensive collaboration in fields like healthcare, telemedicine and technological advancements. The visiting dignitary showed great interest in India's national education policy and expressed his willingness in knowing more about more aspects of the policy. He has also expressed interest in technological collaboration in various sectors and 25 technology hubs created for sustainable development goals. Dr. Jitendra Singh noted that since India and Switzerland traditionally share cordial, mutually trusted relations, it is easy for both countries to engage with each other on ground of comfort already existing. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy will reconstitute his cabinet this morning. The list of the 25-member cabinet has been forwarded to Raj Bhavan for the approval of Governor Biswa Bhushan Harichandan. The governor will administer oath of office and secrecy to the new ministers at a grand ceremony on the lawns of the State Secretariat at Veligapudi in Amaravati at 11:31 a.m. YSR Congress Party President and Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy yesterday announced the list of new cabinet ministers to be sworn in. The new cabinet includes 11 members of the previous cabinet that was dissolved on the 7th of April, besides 14 other fresh faces.
The registration for this year's Amarnath Yatra will begin today. The pilgrimage to the Himalayan cave shrine will commence on 30th of June and conclude on 11th of August. Talking to AIR News, Chief Executive Officer of Sri Amarnath Ji Shrine Board, Nitishwar Kumar said the registration will start at 446 branches of Jammu and Kashmir Bank, Punjab National Bank, Yes Bank and 100 branches of SBI across the country.
इस पूरी यात्रा में जो भी यात्री अपना पंजीकरण कराना चाहते हैं वो आज से शुरू हो रहे पंजीकरण में बैंक के विभिन्न ब्रांचों में जाकर फिजिकली अपना रजिस्ट्रेशन करा सकते हैं या अगर जो ये यात्री ऑनलाइन करना चाहते हैं तो वो हमारी वेबसाइट है www.sriamarnathjishrine.com पे पंजीकरण कर सकते हैं या गूगल प्ले स्टोर से श्री अमरनाथ जी यात्रा डाउनलोड करके भी मोबाइल ऐप से पंजीकरण कर सकते हैं। इस बार की यात्रा में हम लोग कुछ नई सुविधाएं शुरू कर रहे हैं, जैसे प्रत्येक यात्री के लिए हम RFID टैग देंगे जिससे कि पूरी यात्रा के दौरान हम यात्री को ट्रैक कर सकें और सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से ये हमारे लिए बहुत आवश्यक होगा। इंश्योरेंस कवर हमने प्रति व्यक्ति 5 लाख रुपया किया है और यात्रियों के ठहरने के लिए रामबन में 3000 से अधिक यात्रियों के लिए हमने एक बहुत सुंदर यात्री निवास बनाया है।
The Amarnath Shrine Board is expecting a footfall of more than 3 lakh pilgrims this year. He said the board has decided to start the yatra from both Pahalgam and Baltal routes simultaneously. The Shrine Board CEO said only 10,000 pilgrims will be allowed in a day on each route, excluding those travelling by helicopter. Union Information and Broadcasting Secretary Apurva Chandra has convened a meeting today regarding the media publicity to be given to this year's Amarnath Yatra. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Secretary Arun Kumar Mehta, Principal Secretary Rohit Kansal, Sri Amarnath Ji Shrine Board CEO Nitishwar Kumar and senior officials from the central government including Joint Secretary Ministry of I&B Vikram Sahai, Principal Director General News All India Radio N. Venudhar Reddy, Director General Doordarshan Mayank Agarwal, Additional Director General Press Information Bureau Srinagar Rajinder Chaudhary, besides other senior officials will attend the meeting.
Union Home and Cooperative Minister Amit Shah inaugurated a new building of the Gujarat State Cooperative Marketing Federation Limited at GIDC in Gandhinagar last evening. The new building has been named as Tribhuvandas Patel Sahakar Bhavan, who had founded Gujarat State Cooperative Marketing Federation Limited. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Shah praised the contribution of late Shri Tribhuvandas Patel in the cooperative movement of Gujarat. Mr. Shah said the cooperative movement has not only made India self-reliant in the field of milk production, but has also solved the problem of malnutrition for the coming generations.
दूध के उत्पादन की कॉस्ट को हमें नीचे लाना चाहिए और एक्सपोर्ट के लक्ष्यांकों को ऊंचा कर दुनिया भर में भारत के दूध और दूध की बनावट दूध की प्रोडक्ट्स चली जाए, इसके लिए हमने तैयारी अभी से करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि दूध उत्पादन जब बढ़ेगा तो कहां बेचेंगे उसको। अब बहुत बड़ी जगह नहीं बची है, हम आत्मनिर्भर हो चुके हैं दूध के उत्पादन में, मगर दूध उत्पादन बढ़ने की बहुत संभावना है। तो दुनिया में अगर उसको बेचना है तो ये 4 क्षेत्रों से हमने कॉस्ट नीचे लाने का प्रयास करना चाहिए।
The Ministry of Panchayati Raj will be celebrating the iconic week from today to commemorate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav as a Jan Utsav in the spirit of Jan Bhagidari. The week-long commemorative event will commence with organizing National Stakeholders Conference on Localization of Sustainable Development Goals at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi today. To celebrate this monumental occasion till the 17th of April, the Ministry of Panchayati Raj has conceptualized a series of thematic conferences for the iconic week on the theme Panchayaton ke Nav Nirman ka Sankalpotsav. It will showcase the convergence of the views, ideas and technological interventions, best practices and cutting-edge insights of all stakeholders towards localization of sustainable development goals through Panchayati Raj institutions.
Renowned Assamese poet Neelmani Phukan will be conferred the country's highest literary award, Gyanpith, in Guwahati today. A celebrated poet, Phukan, was named for the Gyanpith Award in December last year. The award will be presented for the first time in Guwahati. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma, as well as all the members of the Gyanpith committee, will be present on the occasion. The notable works of Mr. Phukan are Kurjo Hino Nami Ahe I Nodiadi, Kobita, and Gulapi Jamur Lagna. 88-year-old Phukan is the third person to win the Gyanpith Award from Assam. Before him, Mamoni Roy Som Goswami and Virendra Kumar Bhattacharya had won the award, and they were awarded in Delhi.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold virtual meeting with US President Joe Biden today. Bilateral ties and Indo-Pacific region high on agenda. India and US to hold 2+2 dialogue in Washington today. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy to reconstitute his cabinet this morning. Registration for this year's Amarnath Yatra begins today. Renowned Assamese poet Neelmani Phukan to be conferred Gyanpith Award in Guwahati today. Pakistan Parliament to elect new Prime Minister today. PML President Shehbaz Sharif and Shah Mahmood Qureshi of PTI filed their nomination papers. French leader Emmanuel Macron to face Marine Le Pen in runoff for presidential elections on 24th of this month. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Lucknow Super Giants by 3 runs, while Delhi Capitals defeat Kolkata Knight Riders by 44 runs. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back to the morning news on All India Radio. In Pakistan, the National Assembly session will be held today to elect the new Prime Minister. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz President Shehbaz Sharif and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf leader and Shah Mahmood Qureshi have submitted their nomination papers for the post. Their nominations came a day after Imran Khan was removed from the post of the Prime Minister after losing the no-confidence vote in the 342-member National Assembly. In his first reaction since his ouster from the post, Mr. Khan said, even though the country became an independent state in 1947, the freedom struggle has begun again against a foreign conspiracy for regime change. Meanwhile, the PTI has decided to submit en masse resignations in the National Assembly. In a tweet, senior party leader Fawad Chaudhry announced that the PTI has decided to resign from the assemblies, and this process will start from the National Assembly after the election of the Prime Minister today. French leader Emmanuel Macron and challenger Marine Le Pen have qualified for a very tightly fought presidential election runoff on the 24th of April, with partial results putting Macron in first place ahead of Le Pen after the first round voting. Other major candidates admitted defeat. Macron told their supporters that nothing is decided and the battle they will wage in the next 15 days will be decisive for France and Europe. He urged all voters to rally behind him on April the 24th to stop Ms. Le Pen from ruling the European Union's second largest economy. IFOP pollsters predicted a very tight runoff with 51% for Macron and 49% for Le Pen. The gap is so tight that victory either way is within the margin of error. Other pollsters offered a slightly bigger margin in favor of Macron with up to 54%. But that was in any case much narrower than in 2017 when Macron beat Le Pen with 66.1% of the votes. With 88% of the votes counted for first round yesterday, Macron garnered 27.41% of the votes and Le Pen 24.9%. In China, Shanghai has reported more than 26,000 locally transmitted COVID-19 cases during the past 24 hours as anxiety spread in other cities, including capital Beijing, about similar lockdowns being implemented to contain outbreaks driven by Omicron and its subvariants. Shanghai has been reporting a record number of cases every day for the past 2 weeks. China is facing the toughest test of its zero-COVID policy in the last 2 years, as almost the entire country is in the grip of the current outbreak. According to state media reports, South China's Guangzhou city has suspended offline classes at local primary and middle school classes.
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
బతుకులల్లో జ్యోతివైనావా మహాత్మా పూలేవైనావా.
In today's episode, we remember the great social reformer Mahatma Jyotirao Phule, who was born on the 11th of April 1827. He worked towards the eradication of the caste system and educating women. He and his wife, Savitribai Phule, were pioneers of women education in India.
Jyotiba founded Satya Shodhak Samaj in 1873 in Pune to fight for attaining equal rights for people from so-called lower castes and to educate them. The ideals of human well-being, happiness, unity, equality and easy religious principles and rituals form the philosophy of the Samaj. Jyotiba said,
मेरी आपसे विनती है कि आप माने ईश्वर एक है और सारे मनुष्य उसके बच्चे हैं। मेरे आपसे प्रार्थना है कि आप अपने और ईश्वर के बीच में किसी को बिचवाई न माने।
The members used to visit villages and perform jalsas to spread the messages of social reformation.
सूर्य बड़ा ही नेक देता जो सबको उजाला एक चांद भी होते नहीं अनेक मेघ का जल भी सबको एक हो न सब मानव हो सब एक.
Phule is regarded as one of the most important figures in the social reform movement in the country. He was bestowed with the honorific title Mahatma by social activist Vitthal Rao Krishnaji Bandekar in 1888. We salute the great Indian.
We also remember freedom activist Kasturba Gandhi, who was born on the 11th of April, 1869, fondly called as Ba by her husband Mahatma Gandhi. She, in Gandhiji's own words, was the epitome of strength, from whom he learned about the practice of ahimsa, the non-violence. Gandhiji wrote,
"If anything, Kasturba stood above me, but for her unfailing cooperation, I might have been in the abyss. She stood by me in all my political fights and never hesitated to take the plunge. In the current sense of word, she was uneducated, but to my mind, she was a model of true education. She was a devoted Vaishnava, but she had obliterated all feelings of caste from her mind. She personified the ideal of which Narsimha Mehta has sung in Vaishnav Jan hymn."
On the evening of 22nd February 1944, Kasturba breathed her last at the Aga Khan Palace, where she was detained with Gandhiji. We salute the great Indian.
We also remember martyr Faulad Singh, who took part in the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. A resident of Khandesh, Maharashtra, Faulad Singh took part in attacking the British establishments and seizing their treasuries at a number of places.
He took part in a battle on 11th of April 1858, where he was killed by the company troops in the course of fierce fighting. We salute the great son of the soil.
We also remember independence activist Kapil Dev Singh, a resident of Muzaffarpur, Bihar, who took part in the Quit India movement in 1942.
Kapil Dev was arrested and he died on 11th of April 1944 in prisoners' ward of Patna Hospital. We salute the great martyr.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास, तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार प्रसारित कर रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर हर सोमवार।
In IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Lucknow Super Giants by 3 runs at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai last night. Chasing a competitive 166-run target set by Rajasthan Royals, Lucknow Super Giants were out for 162 for the loss of 8 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs. In an earlier match, Delhi Capitals defeated Kolkata Knight Riders by 44 runs at Brabourne Stadium, Mumbai. Today, Sunrisers Hyderabad will take on Gujarat Titans at the D.Y. Patil Sports Academy in Mumbai. The match will begin at 7:30 p.m. In hockey, Germany steamrolled England in an 8-0 demolition to set up a summit clash with the Netherlands in the FIH Hockey Women's Junior World Cup in Potchefstroom, South Africa. While Germany went on a goal-scoring spree against England, the Netherlands overcame India 3-0 in a well-fought encounter in which the winners scored 2 goals in the final quarter. Thus, Germany will take on the Netherlands in the final, while India will meet England in the 3rd-4th place match tomorrow.
In Kerala, isolated heavy rain accompanied by lightning and thunderstorm is likely to continue till Thursday. Various districts have been placed under yellow alert for the next 4 days. Fishermen have been warned not to venture into the sea. The pre-monsoon showers in Kerala have caused large-scale loss to standing crops and damages to properties in many parts. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi is expected to have heat wave and the temperature will vary between 22 and 41 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky and it may become partly cloudy towards afternoon. The minimum temperature was 25 degrees Celsius while the maximum is likely to be 35 degrees. Chennai is likely to have generally cloudy sky with light rain and the temperature will hover between 27 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky and maximum temperature will be around 35 degrees. Srinagar will have mainly clear sky and the temperature will hover between 10 and 28 degrees Celsius. Jammu will also have mainly clear sky and upper limit of temperature will be nearly 39 degrees. In Leh, the temperature will fluctuate between 3 and 17 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have mainly clear sky and the temperature will hover between 10 and 28 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the maximum temperature is expected to be around 37 degrees. Visakhapatnam will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 34 degrees is expected. Guwahati will have generally cloudy sky with few spells of rain or thunder showers. Temperature will hover between 19 and 28 degrees Celsius. Imphal will have partly cloudy sky with few spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature was 18 degrees Celsius and a maximum is expected to be around 31 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All the dailies have stated about the starting of booster dose of COVID-19 vaccine. The Hindustan Times reports booster for all begin. 10,000 under 60 get jabs. With discussion to take place ahead of 2+2 dialogue, the Pioneer notes Ukraine, Pak, Lanka in Modi-Biden talks today. All India Council for Technical Education sends a revised fee structure including a proposed minimum fee limit to the Ministry of Education. The Indian Express writes panel fixes maximum fee for engineering technical institutes. Bengaluru has become the first Indian city to get into the global network of silk cities, writes The Hindu. As production starts at Chennai plant, iPhone 13 is latest Apple model to be made in India, writes The Economic Times. Another headline in the same newspaper says RBI and SEBI exploring plan to synchronize trading time for all markets in a bid to ease operations for investors betting across asset classes. And finally, the Times of India reports about the state-of-the-art equipment to be installed at Delhi metro stations to make travel safer and more comfortable for seniors under the headline X Factor, new scanning machines to ease the queues at metro stations.
Now, before we end the bulletin, a reminder of today's question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Virangana Mahabiri Devi formed a group of 22 women, armed them with iron weapons, and launched an attack on the British in 1857. Which Indian state does this valiant freedom fighter hail from? I repeat the question. Virangana Mahabiri Devi formed a group of 22 women, armed them with iron weapons, and launched an attack on the British in 1857. Which Indian state does this valiant freedom fighter hail from? WhatsApp your response on 882-654-6262. I repeat, 882-654-6262. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold virtual meeting with US President Joe Biden today. Bilateral ties and Indo-Pacific region high on agenda. India and US to hold 2+2 dialogue in Washington today. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy to reconstitute his cabinet this morning. Registration for this year's Amarnath Yatra begins today. Renowned Assamese poet Neelmani Phukun to be conferred Gyanpith Award in Guwahati today. Pakistan Parliament to elect new Prime Minister today. PML President Shahbaz Sharif and Shah Mahmood Qureshi of PTI filed their nomination papers. French leader Emmanuel Macron to face Marine Le Pen in runoff for presidential election on 24th of this month. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Lucknow Super Giants by 3 runs, while Delhi Capitals defeat Kolkata Knight Riders by 44 runs. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.